In this video, I'm going to go over the review quiz of composite functions. I'm going to take each one of these step by step. So looking at problem number 1, they give you f of x equals x squared minus 5x plus 6, as well as g of x equals 2x minus 5. Now they want you in part A to solve g of x equals 0. Okay, what you've got to be able to do is you've got to understand that this is basically like saying set g of x equal to 0. What is my g of x? I set that equal to 0. Now it wants me to solve this. Well, the only thing I can solve for is the x. So I'm going to add the 5, then divide by 2. So x is 5 over 2, or 2.5, 2 1/2, all of those are okay. Now be sure and pause the video at any point in time that you need to stop and take notes. Now the next one is find f of -1 of, that's g of -1 of x. What that means is inverse. That means inverse. So, I know I've given these notes before, but I will do it again. We're going to go over and use the g equation. You rewrite this as y equals 2x minus 5. When you're doing inverse, the y becomes x and the x becomes y. Then you get y by itself. So you want to solve for the y. That means you're going to add the 5 and then divide by 2. So that gives you the inverse of g. And they would not ask you to do the inverse of 1 like f. Not at this point. Okay, so now part C. Read the problem. It tells you exactly what to do. If you read that as set f of x equal to g of x, and anytime there is a solve, anytime you see the word solve, you will get a number answer. A number answer. So on C part, they want you to solve f of x equals g of x and give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So I set f of x equal to g of x. Now, I know that this is a quadratic. Why do I know that this is a quadratic? Because of the x squared. So as soon as I see that, I'm going to think of quadratic function. And I will give you this on the test. Okay, but you have to get all terms on the same side. So that means I'm going to subtract the 2x. And guys, you really need to show your work on this because some of y'all made mental mistakes on the quiz. I'm sorry, that should have been add 5. So that becomes plus 11 equals 0. Now, how do you figure out your A, your B, and your C? Well, your A is the number in front of x squared. I know I've given the standard form for a quadratic before. The A is the number in front of x squared. So your A is 1. Your B is not 7. Your B is negative 7. And your C is 11. Now, you'll store these in the calculator. And I don't have a calculator to pull up on the screen. So you'll have to try to check these in the calculator. If you want to borrow one before we get started on the test, you can check those. Anyway, what you'll end up getting is you'll end up getting a radical, and you'll make it into 2 decimal places on the calculator. Okay? But please store these. Do not try to put those in the calculator without storing them. Okay? Now, D part. Find G of F of negative 3. Now, many common mistakes on this particular problem involved that you did not store them on your calculator. Okay? So you're going to start from the right and go left. So negative 3 goes in for x as in the F equation. So you need to store negative 3 as x in your calculator. Then you type in this F equation. The F equation is x squared minus 5x plus 6. The common mistake many of you made is you did this, and then you got that. And negative 3 squared is not negative 9. Had you stored it in the calculator the way we discussed, that mistake might have been avoided. Okay? Now, whenever you get that, which I believe to be 30, when you store that, you've got 30. That goes in. You will store 30 as x in your calculator. And then you type in the G equation, which is 2x minus 5, and your answer is 55. Okay, and the last one of part 1 is E. Simplify f of g of x. Now see, this one says simplify. It does not say solve. So I will not get a number answer. So I take the g of x and that is my x, and it's going to go right here and right here in my f equation because I start with the g of x and it goes into the f. So square that. Now, one of the most common mistakes that I saw was 4x squared plus 25. That you cannot do that. You have to FOIL this. 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 5. Negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25 plus 6. Now you can use your Punnett square. You can use FOIL. You can use the cover-up method. Doesn't matter to me, but you're going to get 4x squared minus 10x minus 10x plus 25 minus 10x plus 25 plus 6. So now simplifying, which is what my instructions asked me to do, (10x minus 10x minus 10x is negative 30x. I'm done with all of those. 25 plus 25 is 50, plus another 6 is 56. That is the answer to 1E. Okay, turning to problem number 2 on the back page. We have f of x equals 6 minus x. So on A part, I think most everybody got A part correct. Find f of negative 7. So I'm going to store negative 7 as x, and then I'm going to type in 6 minus x, and your answer is 13. On B part, find f of negative 1 of x, f negative 1 of x. This is your inverse. So you'll write down the f equation. Y becomes x and x becomes y. Then you want to solve for y. So to get y by itself, I have to move the 6. Now guys, there's still, that should be a y, there is still a negative in front of the y. It is considered a negative 1. So I will divide by negative 1. That's okay. Or you could have gotten that. You do not, all you have to put in the answer blank is the negative x plus 6, or you could have gotten 6 minus x minus 6 over negative 1. Okay, on C part, this is one of the ones that we discussed. It says find. Find and solve, okay, kind of mean the same thing. Find and solve. You're going to get one answer, except for the find in this, and that's find the inverse. So I said that find and solve can be similar, but they're not identical. So you know you have no number here as the x, so you will not get a number as your answer, but you have a number here. These two cancel each other out, so 10 is your answer. And on D part, you will store negative 2 as x. That will go into the the f equation. 6 minus negative 2, so that's 8. Now that goes into that equation. You can store it on your calculator. So your final answer on part D is negative 2. And on the last one, got the function is given by f of x equals 7x minus 2. You want to find the inverse of f of negative 5 on part A. So remember that these cancel each other out. Your answer is negative 5. And on B part, you've got to find f of x. Well, find in this case, there's no number, so I can't find anything. It's not solve, it's find. And so when find, it can mean solve, but it can also mean that you're just going to get another equation. And in this case, there is no number here, so I will not get a number as an answer. So I'm going to take the f of x, put it into the equation f. So this is my x. So you see that's like 7x minus 2, except I put in the f of x right here in place of x. Now I need to distribute that, so that's 49x minus 14 minus 2. These can be combined. That is your answer. And see, it's not a number because there was not a number in for x and it was not a solve. Now, the last one, C part is an inverse. F raised to the negative 1 of x. Now, it's a find. It says find, but there's no number here. So, I'll write down f of x equals 7x minus 2. Y equals 7x minus 2. Now, to find the inverse, the y becomes x, the x becomes y. Then you get y by itself, so you have to add 2. Then you'll divide by 7. That is your answer. So I hope this helps you on your test tomorrow.